Are there any questions or comments from the board? Okay, before we get started with our agenda, I'd first of all like to welcome all your participation in government students to our meeting. I hope you find it interesting, or something. But anyhow, what I'd like to suggest is at the end of our agenda, if you have any questions or comments about what happened during the meeting, I'd love to entertain them and try to answer them, or hear your comments if you have any. So please feel free to do that at the end of the meeting. And with that, we'll get started. Our first point on the agenda is to welcome our new student representative, who is Alexandria Bayurick. Is that correct? Okay. And one of the things that I'm just happy to say is that we really treasure our student participation on the board, because it's really our ear to the ground, so that we can find out what is concerning or going on with the student community, because none of us are teachers or in the school every day, and so it's really important for the board. And so thank you very much for volunteering to be our student representative.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, the next point on the agenda is the student superintendent merger update.
Just a quick update for the start of school. Everything rolled out great. I think all you guys agree to. Good start. Yes. Everybody's got their schedules. Everybody's set up, right? I think overall, very good. Transportation, look at food service, you look at maintenance items, not only just the classes, but I thought it was a very smooth start. So we're off and running for sure. There's only 182 days, 172 days left. But good start. We had a couple things left in our building project. Give you an update on that. We have the outdoor learning space they're finishing up at the middle school, which we knew towards the end of August. A couple window issues, but not too much. I think we're pretty much done.
It's just 3 windows in the back of the gallery.
Yep. The pool, we're finishing that up. That'll be up by the end of September, beginning of October. We have the dam near Mr. Rose's house that we're going to be doing some different things to that to help the flow of the water. That'll be probably more in the spring now, because they had to do a couple tests on some things, and then just a few loose ends. So overall, not bad. And next summer, we have a couple air handling units. We are going to sit and meet because there is some excess funds. And we're going to look at a few things that we definitely wanted to finish that were on the punch list, but weren't in the original plan. So that's a good thing overall as well. We had a merger advisory committee today. Just let all you guys know, we've entered into a study with Fort Plain to look at a possible merger between the districts. The feasibility study goes through a whole bunch of things to compare districts, look at different things from each district, and then draw some conclusions on if you want to merge or if you don't want to merge. It's totally up to the public and the Board of Education when the study's all over. And we're kind of the first part of it right now, where we have an advisory committee where there's 10 people from Fort Plain, 10 people from Canajoharie, Board of Education members, faculty, staff, parents, community members are on that committee. And they meet every month before our meeting to review certain areas. And tonight we went over pretty much academic areas and enrollment. So 2 people were on the committee with us. It was Brody and Mrs. Prime. If you guys want to echo in terms of some of the stuff that they reviewed and went over.
So starting with just figuring out what we wanted to focus on. The one of the things we wanted to focus on was, getting students ready for the academic life after high school or possibly workforce, or just making sure the life skills were there, like consumer math and that kind of stuff. We took a look at data, basically just crunching the numbers and class size. Basically, it ended up that if you took a look at Fort Plain and Canajoharie combined, we'd be about the size of Fonda Fultonville, or Broad Alden, Burns, or Cobblestone, Richmondville. And that's who we should compare to, and kind of look at what they have to offer and kind of what they're doing. So basically, if you take a look at putting them together, we'd have more staff and we'd be able to offer more offerings, but also you'd have more opportunities on extracurricular, things like that, that we don't even get to offer here. Looking at where people headed after high school, basically Canajoharie was more of a 4-year college afterwards with a pretty big workforce section, and Fort Plain was more of a 2-year with workforce also. We had really a lot of people going into the military, which kind of surprised me a little bit. And basically, even if we didn't merge, we'd have all this information to be able to crunch the numbers and say, okay, they're doing better in third and fifth grade and math, and we're doing, core or something like that. Then we can compare and see, what are you guys doing? And maybe talk about maybe their program's a little bit better than our program and see what happens. So even if you didn't merge, get some information out of that. Lori, got anything on there?
Two things I noted, just because I advise a lot of clubs, so that graphic interested me. And Fort Plain and Canjo both have a lot of clubs, pretty much an equal amount, but very little was the same. There was two different groups of clubs, so I just thought, wow, that'd be really cool if all of those were now available. What an extensive list that would be.
The piggyback, there's 35 offerings total, and probably 8 crossed.
Yeah, not that
So
many.
that shows you the
so-
difference of the club offerings.
Yep, a lot of different things, which was great. And I also came away really thinking a lot about, in terms of, even if there was no merger, just the potential for collaboration. One of the gentlemen who leads us, mentioned that the new high school principal in Fort Plain was, very new and young. What a benefit it is to him to be collaborating with Mr. Bettino. And certainly, and because we also have another brand new principal and a new superintendent. So a lot of times there may be that opportunity for certain teachers and certain administrators to, maybe be mentored by someone from the other district rather than their own. And, it's great gifts to share. So the more of those things can happen, what a benefit that is to everyone. Good meeting.
It was a thought exchange where people shared ideas throughout, shared ideas prior, gather those ideas, see what common threads are, so we can kind of concentrate on those common threads and then move forward. There's the study that we went over tonight is attached, and it's also, if you guys, everyone go on the website, and everyone's on the website, just click merger feasibility study, and it'll show you all the stuff that we've gone over and the stuff that we're doing. So it's all transparent and kind of in there for what you want and what to look at. Just be interested to see what the study concludes. So pretty much that's about it, right? Good. Go ahead, next.
Okay, next on the agenda is policy committee, first reading. We have number of policies.
Yeah.
Would like to address that?
There's 3 policies on there, student records, 3 that we kind of looked at. We wanted to put the wellness policy on there. Mr. Brody brought up a good point. We should be looking at that every 4 or 5 years. And we want to put that on there just for people to kind of look, see if they have any suggestions, any possible changes that they may want to look at that. It's pretty good policy. But if we want to make any changes over the next month, let us know. The 3 that we looked at in the policy committee meeting were student records, programming for students with disabilities and graduation ceremonies. For the most part, all it was updated language from New York State. As New York State changes procedures, policies, and names of things, you got to change your policies to that. That was pretty much it. So there was really no wholesale changes in those 3 policies. You'll see them highlighted in yellow where the changes were. So this is kind of the first reading. If you have any questions over the next month, let me know. And we can move to approve them next month. So nothing too large on those 3. Make sense?
Okay, any questions, comments? Thank you. Then we'll move on to approvals. I'm not sure, does everyone have that?
No, A and B will have to be on it.
Okay, so I would like to entertain a consent agenda for D through I.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. This
Yeah,
is
D.
consent agenda.
Do we have a motion, second? Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, and just to explain to the participation in government, a motion for consent agenda just means that we'll go through each of the items, but we can just vote once on all of them instead of having to vote for each item as we go through. You can only do that when everyone here is present, either was at a previous meeting for the minutes or is present for the current board meeting, which we all are here. So the 2 minutes items will have to be done separately because not everyone was here for each of those 2 meetings. I'm just trying to kind of give you a little bit of an explanation about how that all works. So first minutes for August 21st meeting with the Port Plains Central School District, where we heard about the merger, status. Any, questions, comments?
Okay.
Okay, move to approve. Okay, all in favor? What, oh, second? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Abstain? You have to abstain if you weren't there. That's the rules. Okay, then, we had our own business meeting afterward, and, any questions or comments on those minutes?
Don't we have to have a motion to, is that right?
Just, okay, oh, yes, motion to
Motion.
second.
Second.
Okay, now, any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll ask for a vote.
Yep.
Thank you.
Abstain.
Opposed and abstaining, okay. Then we'll move on to the, bills for August 2024. Any questions or comments on any of those? And for once, I don't have a question, which is quite remarkable.
Quick.
Okay, and then the treasurer's report, any questions or comments on that? No? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the APPR annual recertification training.
Just the administrators getting their certification each year in New York State Road. All set.
Could you please say what APPR stands for?
That's a teacher evaluation system.
Okay, well, I just want our audience to know this.
How we evaluate teachers.
Okay, and then, name, the DASA coordinator, coordinators, the people who we are, and what does DASA stand for?
That says Dignity Against All Students Act, which is pretty much bullying, things of that nature. There's a registered coordinator in every school.
Okay, and the nominees for that position are Jennifer Schwabrow, Lindsay Hodge, Nicholas Pino, Christopher DiPaolo, and Alicia D'Ambrosio.
Correct.
Any questions, comments on that? Okay, moving right along, approved surplus.
It's the extra things that have just reached their limit. Are old, some of them are kind of broke and just not usable.
Okay, any questions there? And finally, the SSIP, that Smart School Improvement Plan, to approve that.
As I mentioned to you guys in an email, state's really kind of backing up on this. We don't want to wait much longer. So Chris and I, and along with the IT department, 2.5 years ago, put together a budget for the next 4 to 5 years on IT. Things that we needed and that we have to put in place. That's things like Chromebooks, smart boards, computers, access points, wiring systems, servers, a whole bunch of things. And SSIP was a Smart School Bonds Act that happened, I think, 6 years ago. 6 years ago, to give money to school districts, seven years ago, to give money to school districts for technology. And you had to use those funds up until you spent them. In November, they're supposed to approve another bond act. So what we want to do is make sure this is in, so they don't come back and say, well, you still have leftover money. And not that we would, because we need things, but we have a budget and we're moving along with it. So Chris, myself, and the IT department again put together some things. Chris kind of inventoried a lot of the areas in terms of smart boards, Promethean boards, Chromebooks. As you know, we got to replace Chromebooks every 4 years for students, so that's revolving. So aren't laptops for teachers. So he put together a list that could fit the SSIP. There's different branches of money that it comes from. We have budget money, we have E-rate money, and we have SSIP money, but things only fit in certain areas. So SSIP kind of is a fallout of all the things. So we put the areas that we know we need, that we couldn't get in E-rate, and we know we couldn't get in our budget in here. And that's what's sitting in the SSIP for the final round. And we'll see what happens in November if the state votes it in. And then we should have another round of funds. But just to let you know, we spend about $1 million every 5 years on technology. So we've got to find a way to fund that. So Chris, you have any extra stuff in there? Pretty simple. The details in there in terms of what we cover. and we have everything set up, so that's pretty much it.
Any questions or comments on that? Okay, seeing none, I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda on personnel, on approval stuff.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you. We'll go on to personnel. Again, I would like to ask for a motion for consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. So we'll start with the point personnel teacher probationary.
Yes, this is a position that we've had now for the fifth year. We're lucky. Mr. Watt is an exceptional teacher in an area that we desperately need, and every school district does. So it's getting to the point now where it's becoming more of a tenure track. So we want to reassess that and put that in writing for that. So that's pretty much about it.
And again, just for the benefit of you all, ENL is English as a new language. He's our English as a new language teacher.
The numbers went up with students in that program.
About the same, right? Yeah, about the same.
And then
We're gonna have a 4-point student more than we did last year. The students back, and we're gonna take.
any questions, comments there? A resignation of a monitor,
Yep, somebody just resigned for health reasons.
okay? Resignation of a food service worker,
They take the monitor position.
and that would be Anne Marie Folks.
Correct.
Okay, appoint a monitor, to replace Anne Marie
Which is,
Folks.
which is now.
Oh, she's doing that as well. Oh, I see, so she resigned from food service in
Yep.
order to become, okay, got it. Okay, appoint a food service worker for 3 hours a day,
Since the person left, Ms. Foltz left food service, it opened up food service, but we also have somebody who's only working 2 hours in the high school. So her job ends exactly the same time that we need the person in, so she's now gonna be continued on to the 3-hour position as well.
Who is it?
Is it even?
no,
Ellen?
Remote engage, pick up.
okay, so that'll be a 5-hour assignment.
Yeah.
Okay. Long-term, appoint a long-term sub library,
Have a maternity leave and the person here, the former teacher, and keeps coming back and we want to.
and that would be Patrice Williams.
Correct.
Question? Okay. And we're moving along to summer day counselor.
So new counselor, we just have to apply the summer days retro.
And then we have 24-25 advisors. We have Melissa Myler for the class of 2025, Catherine Stuttle for obviously a design coordinator, which is way above my pay grade, and Trey Smith and Carly Snyder for the class of 2028 co-advisors. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have resignation of a driver.
And it's just moving to the 4-hour position, which you'll see in the next one.
And appoint a driver,
Took over the 5.5-hour position.
so that would be Anna Folks.
Yep.
Okay, and then appoint the driver, C. Hogle.
I took over the resignation.
And then we have the resignation of a coach, Joshua Herget.
Yep, a resignation with that title to move over to the next one, which is the JV football coach. We just had to rename it because we have the JV football team now.
And finally, appoint a coach, which is moving him over to JV football. Okay? Seeing no questions or comments on any of those, I'll move for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, old business, there was a New York State School Board Association leadership conference and in July, which both I and Patty attended. And what we thought we would like to do is just give a little report back, because there were some very interesting discussions and meeting, in that meeting, that had some really, I thought, wonderful information that I thought everyone would benefit from. First thing I wanted to say is whenever I go to these school board meetings that have school board members from other school districts all over the state, I'm very proud of our district because many of the things other districts are starting to just explore and consider, we're already doing them. And I'll give you some examples. For instance, dealing with behavioral issues. We, instead of having, you do the crime, you do the time, we have a way of restorative practices. So you learn from the things that you do wrong, and, learn how to do better. We have, they worry about graduation rates. And, we have things that help students be successful. For instance, the home run program, where we go into the homes and help parents to be more supportive of their students. We have staff members who are getting leave so that they can go and work in the outside world, because many teachers have not had the opportunity to do anything but teach. So they find out, what is it like to be out there in the real world, so that we can begin to let students learn those skills. And we had a portrait of a graduate where we talked about what are the skills and what the students need to know and learn and be able to do in order to be successful once you get out of high school, not only be successful, but also be engaged citizens in our world and have an impact on our world. And, and there's just a whole bunch, and we have, as you know, we also came up with a cell phone policy last year, which again is something that many districts are just struggling to do. And also, I'm very proud of the way we've done it, because most schools do it. They get these magnetic pouches, and you're required to put the phones in these magnetic pouches in the beginning of the day, and they're locked away. And then at the end of the day, they're opened up and you can take them home. But we said, no, we want to treat our students as adults. So you can carry your phones, but just don't use them in class or in the hallway. And you can use them during the cafeteria, during lunch. And I think it's been a much more support, much more, cooperative way of trying to approach this issue, as difficult as it may have been initially, as we all know. And just a whole number of things that we've just gotten involved in a whole lot of things that have really, I think, made our district exemplary, and I'm very proud of that. And as well, one other thing is in terms of renewable energy. We're going to be investing in solar power to provide 84% of our electricity need. We're going to be investing in a geothermal unit that'll provide heat and cooling for several of our buildings. And, and we've been recognized statewide for some of these improvements and initiatives. And again, I think it's, when I go to these meetings, I don't like to brag, but I'm just very, very proud of what we've been able to accomplish. And so with that, I just wanted to go over some of the workshops that I went to at this meeting to share with you briefly some of the, points that were made. The first point I want to make is that I do have a copy of the agenda with all the PDFs and PowerPoints that were used at this meeting. And if anyone, what I'd like to suggest is that we share this link to this agenda with everyone, so that you can really dive into some of these speakers and what they have to say, because some of the information, as you'll see, I think, is really fascinating and stimulating to learn about. So the first one I'd like to talk about is they had an opening session with the state education department, and I just wanted to list the things they talked about again, which if you want to get more details, it's in there. One is the Blue Ribbon Commission on what knowledge kids need to graduate successfully into society, into their futures. They had a cell phone and into the world. They had a thing about how to deal with cell phones in school. They talked about teacher shortages, which is a nationwide problem. They talked about online security, how to make online use secure in our schools. And they talked about regionalization. And again, if you want more details, it's all in there. The second thing I wanted to talk about is one of the people that gave a talk to the entire assembled meeting was Bill Daggett, who is a real leader in looking at the future of education in our country. And the topic of his talk was transforming education preparing for future-ready students. And he said that he had some really negative comments to make about the use of social media and electronic devices in our society. One of the points that he made was play-based childhood has been replaced by screen-based childhood. And he said overexposure to screen-based devices leads to social deprivation, addiction, attention deficit disorder, and sleep deprivation. And he had a really, I thought, interesting statistic which kind of reflected the increase in social media in your lives. He said the percent of 12th grade students who have a driver's license. In 2000, the percentage was 87%. In 2023, it's 56%. He said part-time jobs. In 2000, 78% of 12th graders had part-time jobs. In 2023, it was 43%. And he said the number of students who have had dates in 2000, 79% of seniors have been on dates. In 2023, it's 42%. So there's a definite serious impact. The point he was making about what social media and electronic devices, how they have affected the students' lives. And then he went on to talk about a positive approach to AI impact on education. Because a lot of people talk about it as being a negative. But we talked about it at length as being a positive. I just wanted to share a few of those things. And again, you want more details? There's 106 pages in his PowerPoint presentation with many, many more facts that I'm sharing with you. One of the things that he said was a critical skill in the age of AI is the ability to write effective prompts and to do sophisticated editing of AI-generated material. If used properly, what he said is that it can give teachers and staff nights and weekends back, because it can be used as a tool to help plan lessons and mark papers and provide information that right now takes hours and hours of prep time for the teachers and staff. He talks about the way AI can improve educational outcomes with students. Because he talks about a gap between education and what industry needs. So he said, for example, the percent of standard of students starting college who earned a degree in 6 years is 43%. And percent from the lowest economic quartile who earned a degree in 6 years is 13%. Now, this is very, very disturbing to hear statistics like that. And he said the percent of graduates who are unemployed or working jobs that don't require a college degree is 41%. So these are very, kind of numbing almost, kinds of statistics. And he also said that most workers will not be replaced by AI. They'll be replaced by a person with skills that AI does not possess. So he has just a whole daggett of information. That, in addition to that, it's his thing, and I really would encourage people to look through it, because it's really, really, this is just a sampling of some of the points that he was making. I also went to a session on AI beyond the hype. And one of the things they started with was a quote by John Dewey, which he said, if we teach students as we taught yesterday, we'll rob them of tomorrow. And the point being that, we need, like we talked about in the portrait of the graduate, we need to teach students the skills that they will need for tomorrow's society, not for yesterday's society. And they basically, in this workshop, describe numerous ways AI can enhance teaching and student experience. And again, it was a very positive and encouraging kind of approach to AI, rather than viewing it as a danger and as something we need to, put an arm's length on, that we should embrace it in ways that can be, really positive for our educational experience. And they cited a number of different sources that exist that can propel this enhancement. Different programs and so forth that are available for our use. And again, it's in there. It's in the PowerPoint. Another one that I went to was one that talked about amplifying student voices for better decisions and outcomes. And one of the things, again, that I'm proud of our district is that they encourage boards of education to welcome students and student input. Welcome. And discuss various ways students, the BNE, the BOE, the Board of Education, and the superintendent can interact and share information and ideas and things that are going on in our school district from a student perspective. And also building liaisons, engaging with students, and getting more information about what's on students' mind. And to talk about bilingual badges rather than just having civic badges. And to develop ways for students to express their concerns independently, without being, kind of channeled. And also to have student forums, to prevent ideas and give students an ability to discuss these things with each other. Final one that I'll talk about is there was one on turning the tables on a teacher shortage. As you probably have all heard, one way or another, there is a huge teacher shortage throughout our country, including in New York. One of the things, again, that I'm very proud of is that our district has managed to fill most of our positions when they become vacant. And, it's very hard, I'm very pleased to be able to, point that out. So some of the things they talked about is the annual need of 140 to 300,000 teachers over the next decade is the shortage that we're looking at. Apparently, there's been a 50% decline in the number of students in teacher preparatory programs in college since 2009. Nearly 1/3 of the education students leave the program due to the low salary potential for teachers. Retention rates dropped to near 50% by 5 years. And one of the things that they talked about, which and also they talked about that rural district, low income districts, which we are, have the most extreme teacher shortages. And I'm happy to say that we are not in, even though we're in that category of school, we are not in that category of shortage. Thank goodness, I would say, knock on wood. Finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about, which they talked about, is what are the practices that school districts can engage in to help retain their staff? And I was really surprised. They did a bunch of surveys of school teachers, administrators, superintendents to talk about, to explore this issue. And the thing I would have thought would have been the highest point of retention would be salary and benefits. But they said no. What they found was that those teachers' relationship with their fellow staff members and colleagues was number one on the list, and number two on the list was their relationship with administrators. That is true. Yep. Then came salary and benefits, and then came mentoring and also professional development. But I thought that was a very interesting perspective, and and I think that's one of the things again that I'm very proud of, is that we have a wonderful relationships in our school district between our staff members, and also a wonderful relationship between our administrators and our teachers and our staff members. And I think that's one of the reasons why we don't have a big retention problem or a lot of staff vacancies that cannot be filled, because I think our reputation is out there. So, with that, I will pass the torch to Patty to talk about the sessions that she went to.
And we'll just jump on top of that because, during our merger study and talking, that kept coming up over and over again is the culture between the employee and the student, you know, the administration and the student and the teachers. Yeah. Okay, so I didn't go to all the ones that Mark went to one day. And so mine was supporting academic achievement for all. And again, I'd like to say that we are ahead of the game in this. So basically, they wanted to look at student growth and success and, you know, identifying what students are struggling and which ones need support and what kind of support. So basically, it came down to like, how do you know? How do you know it's successful or not successful? And so they were looking at that. And, you know, first of all, you develop your plan, you communicate your plan, you execute your plan, you evaluate your plan, you do all that. But then when you take a look at the growth measures, you know, you're always bringing in data. You're always telling us what needs to be done. There were two schools, a tale of two schools. One was at over 7,000 students, one was at just over 2,000 students. And they were talking about how they changed their whole outlook so that the graduation rate increased. And so what they had done was they actually had progress reports every 10 weeks. One school had it every month. So you get this data sheet with all these numbers. I did put the PowerPoint in there for you to look at. It was like, you know, how in the world are you doing this every month, every 10 weeks? Well, they actually hire a company to do this, to give you the data sheets. So I'm thinking, but you also have to put the data in for them to be able to give you. So, you know, how many administrators do they have? Do they have somebody just in charge of data? Those are kind of the questions I had. But they did come up with, you know, looking at your goals. So setting your goals and have everything that you should be looking at, your culture of wellness and all that kind of stuff. It comes down to when you set your goals, is 100% success rate really attainable? Are you saying this, we're gonna have 5% increase in graduation rate every single year? Are you ever gonna get to 100? So it's kind of looking at more specifically, what could we actually do at this level? How many AIS students do we have that need support? So instead of putting your goals for across the board, for everybody to get 5% higher on their, you know, Regent scores, it was more specific to students and that teacher in that classroom. I thought that was very interesting. That'd be nice to have data sheets every month, but crazy.
And tell us the
That's
school,
it?
you know, the school name.
Yeah, well, I can't pronounce the name, but one's that Bedford and Janesville DeWitt. So Janesville DeWitt was the one that had every 10 weeks,
10.
but the Medford one is the one that had it every single month.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it was the name, I forgot what the name of it was, had it in some place. Yeah, I'll find it.
So, I will ask Andrew to share a link to the program and with all the PDFs and PowerPoints. And like I said, I think if you can find the time to look through it, you know, both for the board members and for the administrators, I think that you find it, you know, really have some interesting information and perspectives in.
So that program was SSIS CoLab. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay.
SSIS CoLab.
SSIS CoLab. It's in that PowerPoint. So I have a whole slide on it.
Okay, so, moving right along to new business. The New York State School Board Association is having a virtual business meeting on October 10th. And I'm planning to attend, and you are. If anyone else would like to attend, please let Andrea know, and she can put in our registration.
The sooner the better.
What?
The sooner the better.
So, again, just look at your schedule, see if you are available for it, and if you are, do it. So that ends our agenda. And I would like to ask, are there any questions or comments from the participation in government students? Okay, well, thank you for coming, and I appreciate you being here, and I hope that you found it, at least some part of it, interesting and informative. So thank you again, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Back in, take a sip.